Do you know where you are? Do you know where you are?
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to let it breathe. Oh, so cool. Mike Squires, thank you for our new theme song, Mike Squires from Loaded. Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion. My name is Brando, episode 56. Hard enough to believe Joe DiMaggio hit for 56 straight games, and I've gone 56 episodes about talking about Guns N' Roses. So maybe the streaks aren't comparable, but that's what I wanted to do in my own brain. So it is Brando. Coming up, we're going to be talking to Ernie C from Body Count in just a few minutes. But first, I want to introduce my lovely co-host for this episode, Katherine Terman. How are you, my dear?
I am well. Thank you for having me back, as it were.
Yes, I know we've been getting new listeners. I mean, I'm not making this up. I get messages all the time from people like, hey, I just found you. I think someone found, like, on my Instagram commented, how did I just find out about this 55 episodes in? So there are new people. If you want to hear more about Katherine's story, she was our guest, episode 21.
So long ago in your baseball illusion game of radio.
Unbelievable. But Katherine, she's the producer for Nights with Alice Cooper, a syndicated show, of course, hosted by the legendary Alice Cooper, who was just in Jesus Christ Superstar.
He was.
Right?
It was so cool to see him singing to John Legend. Well, actually kind of belittling and demeaning John Legend as Jesus. So that's always a fun way to spend an evening.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it because I don't want to just watch the clips because I made the mistake and still am making the mistake of watching The Walking Dead instead because it's just, I don't know, that show has kind of jumped the zombie shark a little bit. But I'm sticking with it, so that was on at the same time. So I'm going to go back and watch it. But he got rave reviews.
He did. I mean, it was pretty much typecasting because it was the same kind of sneering, snarling King Herod character that Alice plays on stage. So it wasn't a stretch for him, but he was perfection.
But to do a live play like that, I mean,
I was nervous.
But that's insane. Because, I mean, he's used, obviously, live performances. I mean, he's been doing, touring for God knows how many decades. But has he done plays before? I don't even know. Nothing like that, of course. But
no, not that I can think of. And I didn't see what the audience was, the TV audience of millions. But, I mean, I think that would freak me out. You can't just cover it up and laugh it off. You're looking, there's 5 cameras around you, and it's live.
Yeah. And
just like us right here.
Well, we're live to each other. Live enough for a podcast.
I'm super nervous.
Oh, I can tell, I'm sure. But you were at some of the dress rehearsals, weren't you?
Yeah, I got to go to one dress rehearsal, which was great. But I mean, the dress rehearsal, it wasn't some casual thing. It was, exactly the show. It wasn't them just, oops, I messed up. Oh, let me have a soda now. It was, the whole thing right through. Apparently, what they do is they record the whole thing in case something does go terribly wrong during the live performance, and then they can just cut away. So,
gotcha.
If someone tripped and fell and broke their nose, oops.
Excuse me, or experiencing technical difficulties.
The screen goes. What do you do when that happens?
I have no idea.
Dead air.
That's too funny. So, and also, in addition to Katherine being the producer for Nights with Alice Cooper, author extraordinaire, Louder Than Hell, the definitive oral history of metal, which is still on bookshelves everywhere. You can get it on Amazon. I mean, just some of the names who contributed, in case if you didn't hear 21, who are some of the names that you got?
Well, when we started the book with my co-author, John Wiederhorn, they said, interview about 150 people. And we ended up with more than 300 people from, Randy Blythe, Lamb of God, to Ozzy. I had some old Dio interviews from, of course, when he was alive. Mm-hmm. We didn't channel him afterwards. And
no hologram.
No. I mean, I talked to everyone from, Leslie West from Mountain, because they toured with Sabbath in the early days, and to Guns N' Roses. Maybe you've heard of them.
Maybe.
I think we have all members covered except maybe Izzy. from previous interviews that I've done with all the members. So I was able to include that in Louder Than Hell, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's why one of the reasons why we had you on episode 21, because a lot of GNR ties in addition to just all your great stories and everything like that. I'm not sure that episode if I had too many sound clips though.
You mean you had too many, or there weren't enough?
That's actually a good question. But I don't be scared by the sound clip, because we start off every show now, 56 episodes, with a news segment, Shotgun News. News. I have problems, Katherine, and they have not changed. So welcome to, again, episode 56. First, I got to thank Alternative Nation, who I guess you can say is sponsoring the show, because we're on alternativenation.net, featured on their website and Twitter and Facebook. And the last episode that we did with Jeff Rouse from Duff McKagan's Loaded, he wrote a really great article about Jeff, because Jeff was talking to us about an upcoming benefit. He has a Seattle musicians benefit, all to benefit Mother Love Bone. So he's going to be contributing to that. And there was a really cool story about Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam giving Jeff, I guess too many Jeffs there, giving them his basses from that time in Mother Love Bone, which is pretty rad. Yeah, pretty rad. Wait, hold on. My sound.
That's pretty radical.
Radical.
That's Duff, your friend Duff, and Raphael from the Ninja Turtles. So that's more sound.
I knew that.
I'll try to keep them at a minimum a little bit. So again, thanks to alternativenation.net. Also part of Shotgun News, and maybe you can contribute a little bit to this, Katherine, because I know you were at a very infamous Hollywood Vampires show.
Yes.
And I think we spoke about it on that episode when Joe Perry collapsed.
Yeah, that was in Coney Island, and they did a meet and greet before the show, which is unusual. Usually it's afterwards. So I was chatting with Joe, 20 minutes before he passed out, and then, we kind of saw him go down behind the drums, and then people rushed to carry him off. So.
Well, thankfully, I mean, it's obviously been a while since then, and he's healthy. He's going to be touring with them again. However, part of the news segment, Matt Sorum, not going to be touring, not going to be part of Hollywood Vampires, recently telling Loudwire, he's going to credit people. Not everyone does that. That's
we appreciate it, us journalists.
So he told Loudwire that he felt he needs to go back to being in his own driver's seat. Saying that it was fun. He likes hanging out with those guys, and Alice Cooper is a hero of mine. So is Joe Perry, and he's known Johnny Depp since the 80s, so it was great to get back and talk and hang out with him. So he's a really great guy, super cool, intelligent. Well, he's just fluffing Depp. But that it was the point being
I'd like to do that.
You know what? If I had a hall pass,
right.
I honestly, Depp is my guy.
Right.
I'll admit that. But he goes on to say that it was a nice little memory, talk about the vampires, and a piece of my life, and that said Velvet Revolver was probably the highlight of his career, believe it or not. I mean, this is coming from the guy who's been in the Cult and Guns N' Roses, but Velvet was the highlight.
That's interesting. I wonder. I only saw them. I saw them 2 or 3 times, and he was great in that band.
I think he was. I should have gotten the entire quote in front of me, but it was more of like loose ends for him.
Okay.
I think that's what tied up, and it was kind of like its own entity because he joined Guns. It wasn't his band. This was his band. So it is interesting that he leaves the Vampires because they're going to be on tour again. I believe also they're going to be doing one of the festival dates.
Hellfest, maybe? They're doing Hellfest in France.
Yes.
Which I would love to go to.
Oh, but they're doing, when I guess it all ties together.
Grass Pop?
Yeah, Grass Pop, which is going to be with Body Count and Guns N' Roses. And we'll talk about that with Ernie C coming up in just
Why don't
a
we
few minutes.
Go to that festival and broadcast live?
If you can get that funded. Please, yes.
All right, we'll do it from the back of someone's tour bus, and it'll be loud and noisy, but we'll do it.
Hey, if you want to talk to Andy from United Stations, maybe we can do something.
I'll give him the heads up and see what he thinks.
Hey, you never know what this can grow into. Maybe, I can be the next Lou Brutus.
Ooh.
You never know. I would love to talk to Lou. I've reached out to our buddy Bill Powell, who produces that show. Hard Drive XL. And I'm glad, because that's one of the few shows that will play, radio shows syndicated, that will play new music and old school. So they'll play GNR and they'll play the Pretty Reckless back-to-back, things like that.
Exactly.
So that's pretty great. So unless you have anything else to add to that, I think that does it for Shotgun News. News! And I believe right now we're getting a call from Ernie C, but the phone is shaking. I wonder if that means there's
Wow, that's kind of strange.
an earthquake.
Huh.
Yeah, we'll see. So on the phone with us right now, Ernie C, the legendary guitarist from Body Count. And before, well, you can say hello, first of all.
Hello, first of all.
Hi. So good. So I'm going to kind of counteract your humor with some humor of mine. I'm going to try to introduce you with this clip and hopefully introduce you better than Space Ghost, okay?
Oh, my God.
Smack him.
One time.
See? Mr. T and his friend Ernie aren't afraid of the ghost.
Yeah, Moltar. It just wants to possess your soul.
No! Peace. With ghost.
His friend Ernie. I'm not going to say his friend Ernie. Do you remember that taping?
I remember that quite well because it's done at the building here in Los Angeles that's now the CNN building. And it was upstairs from Priority Records, in the same building that Priority Records was in. So you went in there with a bunch of gangsters when you first walked in there. And so we did that. Actually, Space Ghost wasn't there. We just talked to this tennis ball that was floating around. A guy fed us questions, and we just answered the questions. So I remember that quite well. It was like, it was kind of cool. I remember that day quite well.
Space Ghost isn't real? Oh, my God. Santa's not real?
No. Believe it, I was expecting him to be real. I was in there going, where's Ghost at? They're like, oh, man, you know what?
That's too funny.
Yeah.
But unlike the tennis ball or Space Ghost, I mean, I'm not going to, we're going to focus, of course, on Body Count. We're going to talk about Guns N' Roses, but I want to find more about, Ernie Cunningham. But where are you calling?
Cunningham. What? There's no H's. There's no H. You got to look that name.
I want Katherine to say it since I can't pronounce it.
Ernie Cunningham. Cunnigan.
Yes, there's no H's.
That's the professionalism that I have.
Otherwise, if he was Cunningham, he'd be on Happy Days.
Yeah, and people used to call me that all the time, Mr. That's why I'm Mr. C. People still call me Mr. C.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
Tom Bosley is one of my favorite people. and also. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you remember those commercials? Hey, Culligan man. So
yes, Culligan man.
So yeah.
Well, they might not know because that's the L.A. water.
Yes, person. Exactly.
Sells water.
But the cool people know.
And also, if you're reading that bio right there, I didn't grow up in Compton, so let's.
That I know. That I do know.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up in Compton.
Yeah.
I'm scared of Compton.
You grew up in Detroit, right?
My early life was in Detroit. I came out here when I was in the 7th grade.
All right, so I'm not a complete idiot.
No.
Just partial.
I grew up in. As a matter of fact, 50 years ago, when Martin Luther King got shot,
Mm-hmm.
I was in Detroit. I remember my father coming to me. I was raised by me and my father and a Jewish white lady. Well, of course she was white, but she was a Jewish lady. She lived in the same house with us.
So, was it like, what was her relation? Because I would freak out if I found out Ernie C is partially Jewish.
No. She was just my father knew her, and she had a house, and we rented some space from her in the house.
Okay.
And what interesting was, it was in Detroit during the 60s. It was high. Racism was at all-time high, and she would, this Jewish lady would take me to Boy Scouts. She'd take me to the Muslims in the neighborhood. They had a youth center. She'd drop me off at the youth center, and she would take me to wrestling. I'd see Bobo Brazil and Tex Cobb and all these other wrestlers, and she that's why I always consider myself Jewish.
I love it.
And then when I was young, I was about 8, 9 years old. Her relatives would come. All her Jewish relatives would come over, and she when I was very young, she just make this popcorn that was so good, and she would tell me, "Do not tell them that I cooked this in bacon grease." I couldn't figure that out.
Not kosher, of course.
Yeah, she would just tell me over and over, "Don't go in there and say she cooked it," because they were just eating it like it was going out of style. She said, "Don't tell them that they cooked it in bacon grease."
That I would never have known, whether that's saying your name wrong or I don't know. That's too funny. So wait, you're calling from L.A. right now, correct?
Yes, L.A. We just had an earthquake, like half an hour ago. So
I mean, yeah, you were telling me that because I mean, my shock came off the air, so I don't want to feign shock right now. And you could have used it. I mean, I would have understood. Hey, there's an earthquake. I have to cancel the interview. So thank you for. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Obviously, right?
Earthquakes don't stop music. The show must go on.
Well, I appreciate it, but where in LA, like with you, like in New York, we don't feel earthquakes, so I've never experienced one. You know, because you're just laughing it off, and me and my Jewish small little body, I'm freaking out. Oh my God, earthquake! And I was telling you, just because we're having snow in April, I'm freaking out. So an earthquake, I don't know how I would handle it.
No, I barely felt it. If I felt it at all, I couldn't. You know, the people near the water. It was out in the water, so the people over there would feel it more so. It wasn't bad.
All right.
A little rumbling of the earth. The earth got mad for a minute.
Well, we're gonna get to L.A. in just a few, but I do want to talk about Detroit then, because you said you were there until like seventh, eighth grade.
Seventh grade. My early guitar playing, I just play guitar in Detroit, but I wanted to play guitar in Detroit because down the street from me, there was a guy named Dennis Coffey lived down the street. He had a band called Dennis Coffey and the Detroit Guitar Band, and he used to rehearse in his living room. And I remember going down there when I was young, like 8, 9 years old, when kids could walk around the neighborhood at 8, 9 years old on their own. And I remember seeing him play. He had a song called Scorpio. It was a big hit. I mean, but it seemed like there was 50 guitar players in the band because everybody was so big and had these wah-wahs. And I just remember they had pants with the flares on them and, puff sleeve shirts and apple hats. And I just wanted to do that. I wanted to play guitar because they looked so cool, But there's only like 3 guitar players in the band. But when I was so young, it seemed like there was 50, like the room was filled with guitar players. So when so that's what got me interested in playing the guitar.
Well, what kind of kid were you? I always ask all my guests this. Like, were you a reserved kid? Were you outgoing? Because obviously now, and we've come to know and love you over the years, you're very outgoing and friendly. Were you always like that?
No. I'm not outgoing. I'm very, very quiet. That's why I have a singer that's very outgoing.
True.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I was just a normal kid, non-confrontational, which I am now. You know what I mean?
To be non-confrontational and to be in a very confrontational band, I mean, sometimes you see that often, more often than you think.
Yeah, I get all my aggression out, in our music, So me myself, I'm pretty calm, I think. I don't get upset. I don't really get mad and things like that.
No.
But growing up in Detroit, I remember down the street from us, there was a family that had like 10 kids. I was the only child, so I remember. I was having a fight with one of the kids, and then Miss Judy, who raised me, she went down there to talk to, she brought me back down there to talk to all of them. My father told me later, don't ever bring that lady down there to talk to all these black people. I couldn't figure out, I didn't figure out race. I couldn't figure out race. And she was just like, I'm going to go down there, but the kid that I had to fight with the 10 brothers and sisters that were all going to come down to my house and beat me up. We got closer after that, but my father was like really upset that she went down, and that was my first thing. Race. I didn't understand race when I was young, so it took me a while to get a comprehension of that.
Yeah, especially if you were raised, with a white Jewish woman in your family. Along with your dad. I mean, you had a nice array of experience and background growing up.
And the thing about it is, she would take me to the where the Muslims were, which was Elijah Muhammad at the time. Way back when it was the black movement started. She'd take me there and bring me in and everything. Everybody would look at her and say, "Hey, Miss Judy, how you doing?" I'm dropping this off, and I'll be there because they would take care of kids in the neighborhood. They had a youth center to keep things, and then there was like everybody was like, kill Whitey. And I'm like, I live with Whitey. I love Whitey. I'm at home with Whitey's at home with me, So I didn't quite get a comprehension of it. But she'd come pick me up and everybody be like loving her. And I was just like, this is very confusing, But I figured it out.
It really just shows you that racism is taught. It's not born in you. It's taught by somebody. And we're gonna, fortunately, unfortunately, talk about that, of course, because of your band and in Guns N' Roses in a variety of ways. Yeah, I'm going to play a clip from you later. Axl talking about racism and an old article when you guys were vetoed from a couple of GNR shows. We'll get to that. But when you moved to L.A., since you were so young, was that for school reasons? What made you move out to it? Was it Compton, or since Wikipedia is wrong?
We moved to South Central L.A., right? South Central, which is north of Compton, north of Compton.
You got to fix your Wikipedia, man.
Whatever. But we moved out of there because it was the 70s, and we got out of Detroit just in time. My father wanted to come back out here because he lived here in the 40s and 50s in L.A., and it was like the cool part of town over on a street called Central where all the cool bands play, Duke Ellington, and it was like the party town, you know what I mean? Over there was like party town. My father liked it, so he was just like, I want to move back to L.A. He got tired of Detroit, and he got out of the auto industry just in time because the auto industry fell apart in the 70s. But he was a member of the UAW and all that kind of stuff, so he left a lot. So he came out here, and this is where I met everyone. My life, I was all alone, and I got out here, and the first person I met was a guy who started the Bloods, and he came to my door, knocked at my door because we had a house in South Central, me and my father. He knocked at the door and says, "Hello, my name is Butchie. I run the neighborhood. My friend Chris, when he gets back, you're going to be fighting him." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
This is how I get introduced to coming. I'm like, "What? What am I going to be doing?" No, this is the wrong guy. So anyway, that's my introduction to California. I mean, he just knocked at my door. I mean, I live
not
across
Avon calling. No, it's something else.
No, he's like, "I live across the street from you." I'm like, "Oh, okay, interesting." And when my friend Chris gets back from his vacation, you're going to be fighting him. I run the neighborhood. I'm like, "Oh, okay." It was all, and I left all my friends. I was just by myself, and I didn't know what to do.
See, I want to get to, because you could have gone that path, and you've gone this positive path, and that's how you met our dear co-host for today, Katherine, in the LA scene. And I don't think Katherine was a Crip or a Blood. I don't think so, right?
No, I was not jumped into a gang, or I didn't have to fight Chris or Butchie. So, I don't know. I don't know how you avoided that living there. I mean, and I
what happened was I went for a walk to the market, and I met this guy. And he's like, "Hey, who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Ernie." It ends up being my drummer, Vic, that passed. It ends up being Vic. Okay. And people that lived on another street over, they were all nice. People on my street, they were like gang members and everything. But his family was all, they're like, "Hey," I said, "I met this guy named Butchie." "Oh, you met Butchie?" "Oh, yeah, Butchie's this and that." And I'm like, "Don't worry about him." I'm like, and so then I met Vic, my drummer, my original drummer, and his family, and I met all these other people that were going a different direction that weren't in gangs. That's what kind of, saved me.
And you were only like 14 then or something, right?
Yeah, about 14, 13 years old, 13. So I met Vic, and, and he's like, we played music and this and that, and I was like, I was going to get a guitar, So I think my father took me to a pawn shop. We bought a guitar, Tesco Del Rey, which if I had now would be worth something. It's like the cheapest guitar you can. I think it was like $27 or something like that. And now people want this guitar. All these, what are they now? Millennials or yuppies or whatever they are. They play them in their bands now. Yeah, they play them in their bands. So.
Oh, for sure. So that's how you met Vic, and I guess you're finally surrounding yourself with good people. Yeah. I know you've told the story in other outlets, but how did you eventually meet IceT?
Well, there was different. Well, I didn't meet IceT till high school. This is junior high, so I went through 3 years of junior high, learning how to play and all this kind of stuff. But Vic. And we lived in the 50s. Vic knew a lot of people in the 40s. So I met Ice I was in like the 10th grade or something like that. because I think I was in the 9th grade and he was in the 10th grade because he's 1 year ahead of me.
All right,
I met him.
Okay. Well, maybe before we jump to the Ice then with you and Vic and being in that area and you guys being into rock and how was that perceived? Because it was before hip hop really hit.
Well, right? I only got into rock because a friend of mine that used to listen to me play. 'Cause I used to practice on the porch, all the time. But Butchie became my friend. The gangster Butchie. I used to practice all the time on the porch, and he used to walk across and say, "Ernie, you're gonna be something, and this and that." He actually kept me from people from beating me up. He said, "I like you. You're not." After a while, he didn't knew I didn't want to be in the gang. He's like, "You just play the guitar." And he would, when I went to junior high school, people would, mess with me. He's like, "You just keep on walking, Ernie. Let me deal with this guy." He would take care of me from all my life. I mean, he died at 19. He was driving a car at 14 with a shotgun in the front seat at 14. So he was on a fast path to die, just from the way he grew up.
And if you didn't have that guitar, I mean, you could have easily been on that path as well.
Yeah, but I used to practice guitar all day long on the porch, and he would come across and I learned the songs that he liked. And he's like, "Play Jungle Boogie." I'm like, "I play Jungle Boogie." "Play Let's Get It On." I play Let's Get It On. Play, I play all the songs he liked. Play "Come and Get Your Love" by Redbone. Play, so I learned all those songs, and I always play them for him. And he was like, whenever, he would tell everybody, because he used to tell everyone, wear a white T-shirt to school, because I was a gang. That's what they wore, white T-shirts and Levi's. He says, "Ernie, you don't have to wear it." I'm like, "Okay." Because he was a blood, and we used to go to school. We used to have to walk through Crip territory.
I mean, I can't even imagine.
He used to make everybody wear this outfit to walk through Crip territory. It would be like 40 people, so it really wasn't no thing. It was like 40 of us walking.
And I have to assume that there was no one like you that would get this kind of hall pass not to join the gang, to join these gangs. No,
only because I lived across the street from him. And another reason why we raised pigeons. Me and my friend Michael, we raised pigeons. Butchie wasn't scared of nothing in his life, but he was scared of pigeons.
I haven't heard anything like that other than from Mike Tyson with pigeons.
No, he wasn't scared of nothing. Wasn't scared of people, nothing. He was dogs, just like the meanest man ever. But he was scared of birds, pigeons, and we raised pigeons. So we'd go in the back. He would never come back there. And then in his attic, there was pigeons lived on the roof of his house. And he would hear, I think they flew through his house one time when he was sleeping, and he was scared of pigeons. And we used to come up there and get the pigeons out of his attic for him.
Wow.
It's the weirdest thing ever. But it has something to do with him sleeping and the birds coming down out of the roof, through the thing the ladder that goes up to the roof. And it's some crazy psycho stuff.
I was about to say, that sounds very Alfred Hitchcockian.
Wow. He was scared to death of pigeons. The man that would take a shotgun and kill people was scared of birds. And we would have our birds fly around. You clap your hands, make the birds do flips and things like that. They were trained. He was like, "Those are birds flying around. Are they coming back?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're gonna be back in a little while." He would just, "I'll talk to you later. I'll see you later."
Maybe he knew you were the bird guy too. You were Birdman before Birdman. That's what he was afraid.
It's the funniest thing in the world. Once I thought about it when I got older, I'm like, why was he afraid of pigeons? Anyway, so that's the weirdest thing ever.
Well, I have to imagine, was IceT afraid of anything when you first met him then? Let's just skip forward to high school.
So I met Ice in high school. Ice was a break dancer. He used to. Well, first of all, they were doing all kind of crimes. Him and their friends. They were doing all kind of. My drummer Vic, he was a criminal, and Ice, they were kind of criminals, and different crews knew each other. And Ice, they started break dancing. Break dancing was kind of a thing where you'd have competitions. It was like because we were in a movie called Electric Boogaloo, which is like breakdancing as competitions where you go up to somebody and they have the hat on, you flip their hat off, and you do a move. They do it now, but right back then it was, instead of using guns, they really, it was real gangsters in
like you got served kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And my Shawnee Sean, who's in my band, he used to dance with a guy, Michael, who's what's Michael's name? Michael is an actor. He was in I can't think of Michael's name. I can't think of Michael's name. What movie was he in? With Robert De Niro. He was a cop. Ooh. Anyway, I can't think of his name, but he was Hot Dog and Sean was Weenie Dog. Everybody had their own cliques of dances, and I used to back up I had a little band. Vic would play the drums, and we used to have a little band. We used to back up the drummers. Back up the dancers. They used to like to dance to "Pick Up the Pieces" by AWB. That was their favorite song to break dance to. You ever heard that one?
That's not a world I'm familiar with either. That's why I love having you on, Ernie. This is just a lot of things that I have, growing up as a little twerp on Long Island. I've never experienced breakdancing and being recruited by gangs and.
So what was Ice afraid of? When I first met Ice, like I said, he used to do the craziest jumps. He was in gymnastics. He was real skinny, and he used to do these crazy things where he jumped up in the air and landed on his knees. That's why he had bad knees, because it messes up. It's worse than football. Breakdancing was worse than football. So he landed on his knees, and he did all kind of he was good. We used to talk about him because he used to do the craziest stuff, Cause we called him Trey. We didn't call him Ice necessarily. I used to call him Trey because his name is Tracy. So we called him Trey.
Okay. So when you because I know we only got you here for a limited time. So like when you started, did you want to start a band? Like how did that come about with Trey?
Okay, so what happens is we do Electric Boogaloo, we do rap, and this is the 80s, After he got out the Army, he came back, and he said to me, he says, Ernie, there's this new style of music. He wanted me to write some songs, because he knew me from high school, because he was going to the Army for a while, and he got back, and he's like, he came to me and said, there's this new style of music. Listen to this and see, can you do this? And it was Run DMC stuff, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Rock Box. And I'm listening to going, okay, that's pretty cool. The drum was really on time. It was a drum machine. So we his first record, Dog on Wax, some of that stuff, I did some early stuff, really early stuff with him that we were just experimenting because I really didn't know what it was. I thought it needed more instruments. Musicians, when you come from being a musician, it's like it needs more. And like the scratching, you needed more. Now I consider DJs musicians because I've listened to them, what they do. It takes time and practice and things like that. So we did that, and then he went to New York for a while, and then he came back and says, "I got a record deal." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And he says, "We did his first record," and then he's like. You start your band. So I started a band with Vic and,
Is that what you wanted? Is that what you wanted? Were you just happy playing the guitar, or was it always your goal to be like, hey, I want to be in a band and I want to make this my career? Did you have vision that young?
No. He gave me some money. He said, do some demos of stuff with you singing and this and that. First we were auditioning singers, and that didn't go too well. Because then I always have an argument about the BRC, because I went to the BRC with the Black Rock Coalition,
Okay.
And I went to them to kind of help out, and that goes back to my childhood about not putting race on anything. But I went to the BRC because and they were treating me worse than anyone. So I went to them. And I'm like, I did a demo with like 3 songs that ended on the first record, and And Ice, we had this little band. D-Rock was my friend. He came in, the original guitar player. He was my friend, and he came in and played. Then we had Moose. Moose was Vic's friend, and we got the band together. And then on the first gigs that we did here in L.A., Katherine, you know this place called Mancini's? You ever heard of this?
Yeah, in the Valley, right? Was it?
Yeah, we did our first show there at Mancini's, and I was the singer. You know, Ice was just coming out to get the record company to come, and he would sing one song, and I would sing the other stuff. And after a while, after we did the show, I'm like, I really don't feel comfortable doing this. I'm not Hendrix. I just want to play guitar. And he says, okay, let me sing a little more. And so he learned the songs. And then the second show that we did at the Coconut Teaser, Hot Rod show.
Oh, yes.
You know, we did Hot Rod show. He sang, and then no, we did it the second show at Raji's.
Wow, and that was a legendary dive, really more punk rock than anything there.
Yeah, we did it at Raji's. So we went there, and then the band started getting some following around town, you know. And then we did a show at what's the name of the place? The Coconut Teaser. And then Seymour Stein flew out because, you know, we were shopping around trying to get a deal for the band. So Seymour flew out from New York, and Seymour came to the thing and says, I like your band. All he's ever said to me all my life is, I like your band. You're going to be very successful. And then that's all I heard from Seymour. And then the next day, 2 days later, we had a check for $75,000.
Wow.
So then I said to me, he says, no, it wasn't wow. He says, welcome to the music business. He says, how much money do you owe me? He says, here's some paper. Let's figure it out. So and he says, give your guys about $3,000, $4,000 a piece and this and that. And I'm like, after I figured out how much money he owed me from helping me out and demos and guitars, and I owed him like $45,000. I paid the band, and after I got through, I had like $2,000 left out of $75,000. That's welcome to the music business.
But that's so amazing how much Ice supported you and helped you. I mean, there was no guarantee that you would be successful, but obviously you were. But Ice believed in you at the beginning. It sounded like he wanted you to kind of start your own band to be the singer, and it turned out you weren't comfortable with that. But it sounded like he was super supportive and wanted you to succeed.
And the thing about it was that made the band better because I'm heavy metal. This heavy metal stuff, that's me. He's more punk rock.
True.
My first record sounds punk rock because I have some friends that listen to my record and say that's a punk record. I was trying to make a metal record, but the band. When we did our first record, the band wasn't good enough to do a metal record. Metal bands are really good and they're real precise.
Sure.
Punk bands. Here's my musician opinion. Punk bands are a little looser. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I wanted to be like Led Zeppelin. But the thing about it was we did 7 shows in L.A. and then the next thing we know, we're playing Lollapalooza. So we got thrown out there really fast. After we finished Lollapalooza, we did 14 shows, and we're getting ready to start recording the record.
You were thrown into the fire right away. Wow. Were you able to had time to process any of this?
No, that's why it went really fast. So the catch about it is, I always say, people are like, your band's really good. When we played Lollapalooza, we only played for 15 minutes. We only knew 8 songs or something like that total. 8 songs we knew. We played 5 of them or 4 of them in 15 minutes. So the band is really, people were like, this band is great because we played for 15 minutes. It was the right amount of time for that new band to play.
To keep them wanting more.
For people to just, yeah. And so when our record came out, it did very well just because of playing that little amount of time.
What year was that Lollapalooza show?
91.
Okay.
So I have to ask, Ernie, like you, I am an only child, so I didn't have the older brother to turn me on to metal. Who turned you on to metal? Did your dad listen to it? I mean, I'm...
No. My dad listened to, my dad had me listening to Duke Ellington and stuff like that. He loved saxophone, and that's what I know from him. But a friend of mine in the neighborhood, he came back from the Army, and he heard me playing on the porch. And he says, you ever heard of Jimmy Page? I'm like, who? No. He's like, he went and got all his cassette tapes and gave me Rush, Jimmy Page, Deep Purple, Ronnie Montrose. He gave me all these cassettes. He gave me like 50 cassettes. He says, listen to this. And that's how I got into metal.
Nice. Yeah, I don't even know. For me, by the time I was in 11th and 12th grade, I was driving to the Troubadour to see Wasp and Quiet Riot and stuff just because, it was close by to me, and, that's just happened into it.
And then later on, when I used to go from South Central, I used to go up to those clubs too, and I saw Van Halen at the Starwood, and remember the Starwood right there?
Oh yeah, Santa Monica Boulevard. That was legendary and apparently run by a gangster guy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes. I think he might still be in jail, in fact.
Yeah, I used to go to Starwood right there on Crescent Heights in Santa Monica.
Wow. Yeah, I only made it there a few times because that must have closed by the mid-'80s, maybe, I think.
Yeah, I was good at early 80s,
But what about...
Matter of fact, might be the 70s. I went there in the 70s.
Well, I think that's also where the early Motley Crue, like when it was London and Snow and Nikki Sixx and all those bands played there.
I know London, yeah. I remember that band.
Do you remember the first show you saw, the first metal show you saw?
Oh, the first good metal show I saw?
Whatever you want to answer. Yeah, first, yeah.
I saw Bon Jovi.
Bon
That got me
Jovi's not
excited.
metal, but I guess...
Yeah, I consider it metal. I consider that metal,
Maybe, sure, early.
Matter of fact, my bass player is Richie's guitar tech.
Oh, okay.
And Richie has a body count shirt, and jacket and shirt and everything he wears, and hats and stuff now. I just thought that was kind of funny,
That's too funny. So, to go back, so you're in 1991, you're playing Lollapalooza.
And we got on Lollapalooza. Here's an interesting story. We got on Lollapalooza because Perry was putting it together, and we did a song with Perry back in '88 called Nigga Whitey, which is written by Sly Stone. I used to live with Sly Stone. He lived in a house with me in Pacific Palisades, with me and my kids and everything like that. And Sly went to rehab, and I was a messenger delivering packages to a place, and I saw Perry Farrell talking to someone, and I kind of listened to the conversation. He's like, I'm trying to, do this song, Nigga Whitey, and I'm trying to get, blah, blah, blah. I said, I know Sly. I was just out the blue in the office, Littman Kahane, which is like a big management firm. I said, I know Sly Stone. They're like, what? Who are you? I'm like, I'm the messenger delivering packages here. I know Sly Stone. And they talked to Sly, and they set it all up. They were going to record the song. And I called up Sly the day he was supposed to do it, and they're like, he left. He's in rehab. I'm like, what? And so I'm sitting in the studio with the cameras and everybody, and they're like, where's Sly? I'm like, oh, he can't be here. But do you know IceT? And I was like, yeah, we love IceT. I said, Ice maybe can do this. So I called up Ice. Ice was recording Back on the Block with Quincy Jones, like a quarter of a mile away. So I said, Ice, can you get over here and do this? And he really didn't know who Perry was. So he came here. We went through the song, Don't Call Me Nigga, Whitey, Don't Call Me Whitey, Nigga, blah, 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 blah. And we recorded that for The Gift, for the movie that his wife was doing called The Gift.
Okay.
And so we did that. And so when Perry got ready to do Lollapalooza, he called up Ice and said, you got a slot on this. And then Ice said to me, he says, since you helped do this, your band has a slot on this. So he got 45 minutes. He did 30 minutes of rap, and Body Count did 15 minutes.
That is great, all because of you. That was the first time I think I saw you guys. I didn't see any of your early shows, but I did. I feel that was the Lollapalooza was down at Irvine Meadows, was it?
Yes, sure was.
That's the first time I saw you guys. And the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow, were they on that one? Or maybe that was the next year? No, that was next year.
Okay. Because the next year, Chris Cornell was on that.
Oh.
And I used to go out with Chris. I went out and played. Chris covered Cop Killer, and I went out and played with him, played really? Cop Killer. Yeah, really. Wow. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was on. It's on a box set. You know that box set they did like 2 years ago or something like that.
Like King.
Okay. Yeah. There's a video on the box set. I was on vacation, and so I was down in Florida on vacation, and so I saw Chris, and Chris says, we cover Cop Color. You got to come out and play it. My cop out line is always, I'm left-handed. He says, I said, I'm left-handed. He says, get Ernie a guitar. He talked to Kim's guitar tech. Get Ernie a guitar. He said the guitar tech, go do it now. So they grabbed one of Kim's guitars, changed the strings around, and I went out in a banana so ungangster. I'm in a banana colored cross-colored outfit, and I went out there and played with her.
I need to read your book. When are you writing this?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's just, and you know what? I was just thinking, obviously, as a left-handed guitar player, were you big into Hendrix in your early days?
Kind of, but not really. I mean, Hendrix, Hendrix was more blues guitar. I like Van Halen. I like Eddie. I liked Eddie more than I like Jimmy Page. I wanted to be Jimmy Page. I used to sneak in. You remember up there on La Cienega and Sunset Boulevard, there used to be a theater there called the Tiffany.
Oh, yeah, they used to do the Rocky Horror at midnight.
Yeah, but
yes.
But before the Rocky Horror, every night they used to play The Song Remains the Same.
Oh, wow.
I used to sneak in there and watch The Song Remains the Same so many times. I wanted to be Jimmy Page so bad.
Have you met him?
I haven't met Jimmy Page. I met Van Halen. I met Eddie. Eddie did the nicest thing for me. I met Eddie, back in the 90s, right? So, I produced Sabbath. So I had a picture of me and Tony Iommi. And Tony always says, if you ever had a chance to go say hi to Eddie, go say hi to Eddie, and drop my name. So I went all the way down. I went to see him at the Forum. This is like the 90s. And so then I went to security, and I went up to Eddie. It was like the longest haul ever. I see him at the end of the hall. I'm like, am I going to be able to make it down there to say hi to him? It's like walking to meet God. It's like the longest haul. I'm like, Eddie's at the end of the hall, and just start running like that. So I went down there, and so I get up to him. I said, hey, how you doing? I said, my name is Ernie, and I showed him a picture of me and Tony Iommi. He said, I produced Tony's album, and this and that. And so he looked at me. He make sure it's me. He looked at me again and looking back and forth. I said, I wanted to meet you and say hello to you. He said, what'd you do? I said, I'm in this band, so and this and that. And so he got a pencil and paper and started writing, this is his number, this is my cell phone. I don't think it's cell phone. This is the number to my Malibu house. This is the number 5150. This is the number to my manager. He gave me like 4 numbers. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so then he called the house one day. And, we had the answer machine. And so I saved, because he left a message saying, hey, Ernie, this is Eddie Van Halen. Give me a call when you get a second. I had that outgoing message for a year on my phone.
That's so funny.
That should be your text sound now.
You know what? I saved a message like that from Slash once when we were gonna do an interview, and Slash called at like 9 a.m. He's like, I just woke up. I'll see you later. Bring Jim Beam.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I saved that one.
but so what's so funny was, okay, so I wanted to at the time, Eddie was doing guitars with Ernie Ball, right? And they wouldn't make me a guitar left-handed, right? And so I said, Eddie, I wanted one of your guitars. He said, what's the problem? I said, I'm left-handed. He said, really? They wouldn't make you a guitar? He said, they made one for John McEnroe. They're going to make one for you. So he called him up. And I got a guitar. I thought that was the coolest thing ever,
That's very cool. And very nice of him, too.
Yeah, very nice. And sometimes, back to racism one more time. There's people that have talked to me over the years about Axl being a racist. If somebody said about Eddie Van Halen, I'm like, these are 2 of the nicest people I ever met in my life. I don't know where you people get off of reading something and believing it. When you're talking to me, to someone who knows them and has hung with them and passed a bottle with Axl, it's like, don't come with no bull crap like that to me.
This is a great segue to the fan questions, and they're asking all these questions because because I know you're going to be doing your European tour, so we have a lot of European questions. This is from Dirk from Germany.
Those are some Guns N' Roses questions.
Oh,
right?
no, yeah, no, absolutely. But you covered, I just want to give him credit for asking this question. Dirk from Germany, he wanted to know about you working with Black Sabbath because I guess Tony didn't talk about it in his books, but you did cover a little bit working with Tony right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't cover it with his books because it was like, that record was really strange. I think it was a lot of stress with that record. Not from me, just
in his life?
Just stress from, not doing a record. What's her name? Ozzy's wife hit me with a cease and desist order at the studio, and Tony said to me, he says, "Don't worry about that. She does that to everyone." I'm like, what? I'm not used to it. You step into a family fight, and you're like an outsider, So it was fun. It was fun working with Tony, though. I like Tony a lot. He was full of jokes, and we had Cozy Powell working. Tony was a very light-hearted, fun guy, but the everything else was kind of stressful.
And you had you had the singer Tony Martin on that, who I talked to him about you a little bit, and he's got a great voice. I don't know what he's up to at the moment, but
Tony Martin, he was like. Tony would always get him to perform better. Said Ronnie used to do it like this. Dio used to do it like this, and he would talk about Ozzy used to do it like that. And Tony would be like, "Let me go back in there and do one more take."
Oh, man.
But Tony knew how to fire him up. But the record, that record produced itself. Because Tony knew what he wanted. He just kind of like me, non-confrontational, and doesn't want to produce the band and tell everybody what to do, because I used to produce body count records myself until later on when it got it's hard to produce other people in your band and be like the guitar, like somebody might say the guitar is loud, because you're producing it, right? And like I used to do one mix for the drummer. Vic used to have his own mix of the band because he'd be like, I can't hear the drums. So I did basically a drum cube. Here's your mix of the record, and here's my mix. So then he heard it on the, that's not the same mix I have. I'm like, yeah, because yours is a drum cue, man. You don't hear nothing but drums on that.
Well, we're going to now. We're going to get into the GNR stuff, and we're going to stay in the fan question things. This is from Jay from Australia. So, what were your thoughts?
We just got back from it.
Oh, right on. Well, Jay wants to know what your thoughts were when Axl used that word in 1 in a Million, because there are people who still claim that Axl was a racist because of that song, which it's more of a character in my view and the way it is, and kind of like There Goes the Neighborhood describing the scene. So what were your thoughts when 1 in a Million came out?
I have no thoughts on that whatsoever. That didn't bother me. It didn't even raise an eyebrow. It's the person that says it with intent that raised the eyebrow.
Exactly.
Axl, I know he's not that dude. He can say whatever he wants to say. He's not that dude. We do a lot of cop killing. We're killing cops. We're not killing cops. He can say what he wants to, but he has that's not in his heart. His bodyguard was a black man. For the longest, So if you're a racist, why would you have a black man protect your life, So, that doesn't bother me at all.
Right on. And so I guess this kind of segues into another question. I'm going to set it up with a clip. And this is from Sohrab Brownstone, which I'm sure is not his real last name. I believe it's from Germany, and I know you're going to be doing a few dates there as well, as I mentioned. So this was a rant Axl did. It's only 30 seconds. In 1993, and he's referring to James from Metallica. All right?
Oh, yeah.
I watched a man named James prove that, since I'm supposed to be the rock racist, because I used the word once, I watched a man show me that he was a motherfucking racist. Had a real big problem with IceT and any black man in Axl. Rap is really terrible and black bands and it's not happy back out there. I watched them be really shitty to black people that work with us. That wasn't very enjoyable.
So that was a show in 93, and I also was sent by a fan. I also want to give everyone credit. This is from Dominic, also from Australia. I don't know, a lot of German and Australian fans, this episode. This was in the LA Times, and it was talking about when you guys were vetoed. That's what it says. IceT is vetoed from 2 gun shows because of the controversy. And Axl's comment on it was saying that it was shallow-minded, saying that when you guys were dropped, both Ice and myself were tired of the racial crap. This was our chance to play together and show people that we're about artistic expression, not violence or prejudice. It comes down to this freedom of speech is okay as long as it doesn't piss off some public official. So what happened with the Metallica, Guns N' Roses body count shows?
Well, there's a lot of drinking and cocaine around, anything can happen. So, Hetfield, during that time, James was doing a lot of, things he shouldn't. But, that was, they wanted us off a couple of shows. We got off a couple of shows. They put Motorhead on, but the thing about it was, we got on that show because of Duff. Duff was my dear friend, and he says, "What is your band doing? The next couple of weeks?" I said, "Nothing. We're just kind of sitting around." And he says, "You want to play some shows with us?" I'm like, "Okay, cool," because they kicked Faith No More off the show or something like that. Okay. And so we went there to Kansas City. We played, a bunch of shows with them, but I saw Hetfield, like a couple of years ago. We played with them over in Europe, and he invited us on the stage. Before, during that time right there, he wouldn't say nothing. He'd just keep on walking. He wouldn't hang out. He hung out with us. He quit drinking. He's sober. So, I just have to let that part go. You know what I mean? I don't. Sure. That was that time, and during that time he was, he's grown up, he's matured, and his heart's a lot better now. So.
I got you. It's a long time ago. That's why, of course, I had to establish. That rant is from 1993. The article's from 1992.
But the thing about racism and things like that is people can have a tendency to get worse. But, if they don't fix their ways, you could get a lot worse. I know some old people in their 70s, they're like, whoa, where did this all come from? They just, let it grow. But he stopped it. He let us stand on the stage. He wouldn't do that before. He wouldn't have us on the side of the stage, So I'm cool with him,
Well, that's great, because you're right. There are people who will just be in their ways and not progress. And, of course, drugs can make you act certain ways, and there's no reason to relive it if people have changed. Why hold somebody accountable if they've grown?
Yeah, he's sober and cleaned up. There's no more Jaeger.
Jaeger used to sponsor everyone. I had T-shirts and fanny packs and hats, and the Jaeger girls were everywhere.
I went on a tour of the factory.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I'm jealous.
They gave me a big circular bottle of Jaeger, and then my guitar tech, he carried it all through Europe for like a month. And then on the way home at the airport, I'm like, what's that? Because he had it wrapped in all kind of stuff. I said, what's that brown stuff following you? My bottle of Jaeger got broke.
Oh, no. Heartbreak.
Yeah, heartbreak. It was. Oh. You have another question?
Oh, yeah. This is a more positive one. This is from Johan from Sweden. You're going to be in Sweden soon.
He went to the Swedish Rock Festival.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple festivals you're going to be doing. I'm definitely going to promote those. The Grass Pop, right? Am I pronouncing that right? And of course, your Bloodlust European tour. We're going to, of course, I'll mention those at the end. But I guess.
As a matter of fact, we're playing Guns N' Roses in one of them. They're playing on Thursday. We're playing on Sundays. I think that's Grass Pop. Yeah.
Yeah. I want these festivals. Why don't we have these festivals here in America? I mean, Iron Maiden, Ozzy, Priest, Megadeth. It's unbelievable. America sucks.
Yeah. we got Coachella.
Yeah, with the big bands nobody's ever heard of ever.
Nobody's heard of, except their managers.
But Johan from Sweden, he wants to know about being Duff's best man at his wedding.
Oh, you know what? I was not Duff's. Okay, first of all, we got to go back. This is not his wife now, not Susan. We love Susan. I love Susan. When I met Susan, I knew she was the right person for him. This is a wedding before that. His second wife, Linda, my daughter, who's 35, 34 now, was a flower girl. I wasn't the best man, but I was there. His brother was the best man. I was there. Lenny Kravitz was in the house band. You know, and then he came to me. He says, because I was playing too. He says, Ernie, what are you doing? I said, I'm playing guitar. He said, oh, I'll be playing drums tonight then.
Wow.
So Lenny played the drums at his wedding. Teddy Zigzag played. Who else played? I can't remember. We had it up at Lake Arrowhead. It was cool. But you know that wasn't the right wife for him. You know.
What made you guys, you and Duff, hit it off more than perhaps Slash or because Slash also has he's half black.
Yeah.
But why Duff out of everybody that you felt a kinship with?
When Duff came to our, like I said, back in the day, Duff came to our show at the Coconut Teaser, like one of our early shows, and he wanted to meet Ice. He loved Ice. And so Ice don't drink. Ice is, he's not that guy. He's not the party guy that I was. He was more to himself. And so Duff came to the show and says, I want to help out your band. I'm like, oh, I'm having a lot of trouble with these black people over here. So welcome, So he came, Dave Mustaine came, like everybody else was the Black Rock Coalition was shutting me down, and everyone came. So Duff came, and Ice was like, talk to Ernie, because Ernie's producing the band. So I called Duff, and Duff was like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. We just clicked. He was just a good dude. I met him when he was like 25 years old, And I didn't do drugs. I drank, but I didn't do drugs.
Okay.
And I told him that. I said, I don't do drugs and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And we just became good friends. We just, we would hang out. We'd play pool. We drive around Sunset Boulevard with highball glasses of alcohol, like down Sunset Boulevard with glasses. It was like crazy stuff, Wow. I've never got a DUI. Never. He never got a DUI. Well, he might have got a DUI. Crazy stuff. I mean, the show that he did at the here's a good one. The show that he did at the Coliseum. We didn't play on that, right? So after the show, he says, let's go have a drink. I said, okay, cool. So the girls and his wife and all that, they hopped in the limo. So he hopped in the car with me. I said, don't reach under the seat, because I got a gun under the seat right there where you're sitting, right? So he got out the gun. Then the cop comes over to the car and says, you guys need a police escort out of here? I'm like, put down the gun. He's just damn near holding the gun in his hand. I'm like, put down the gun. But I had tinted windows, so I just cracked the tinted window, and he's over there, and the cop gives us an escort out from the traffic to get us on the freeway. But he's damn near holding a 9mm with the cops all around the car.
Jeez.
You guys are very lucky. Did you ever go to see, remember at the Coconut Teaser, there was that kind of side band called the Drunk Fucks? Do you remember them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those were some drunk days. But I think it wasn't too long after that Duff was sober by the mid-'90s, maybe, I think?
Yeah, mid-'90s, yeah.
And good for him.
Sober by the mid-'90s. Yeah, because we used to drink. I remember one time, here's the funniest story. We were down in Miami at Luke Skywalker's club. Luke had a what's the name of his band, Kathy? The Two Live Crew.
Oh, yes.
Luke had a club down there, so me and Duff went in there. Matter of fact, they were getting ready to play there on New Year's Eve, 1990. So
Wow.
Duff had a club. Luke had a club there. So me and Duff went in there. I had my wife and whatever. We had some people, and so we went in there, and we were like. Duff invited me there because during that time I didn't have a lot of money, because he invited me to come down there. He flew me and my wife down. He was really nice to me. He flew me and my wife down there. And so then we're sitting there ordering bottles of champagne and everything. And so the bill started coming over there. He said to me, he leaned over and said, hey, you got any money? I'm like, no, you invited me here. I got no money. He says, well, I don't have no money with me. I said, uh-oh, we're going to be in problem. We're going to have a problem here. So we had to call John Reese to come down and get us out of there. If you know who John Reese is.
He was their tour manager at the time? Or?
Yeah, John was a tour manager.
Right.
But, but now John's a big promoter. But he was the tour manager. He came and got us out of that. But we were in a club full of black people and pimps and all kinds of stuff.
You could have been washing dishes.
Yeah, we were still watching them. How much money we?
When did you and Katherine meet? I want to know that, like, how you guys met.
Katherine was writing for Rolling Stone, right?
Well, actually, I did write for Rolling Stone, but I don't. At the time, I had my column in BAM where I was writing called Raw Power. I was writing about a lot of young bands like Rage Against the Machine and all that. But I think I interviewed. What do you think?
You were the first girl on the bus. I know that much.
First girl on the bus. Okay.
Well, here's
the first girl on the bus. Because everybody went by and gives us that blink on the eye, like, no, she's a writer. Like,
well, no. Here's my memory of it. There was a paper in L.A. that I wrote for, and they wanted to do a story, and I got sent on the road with you guys in Florida. Yeah. And I think I rode on the bus. What I remember.
You rode on the bus.
What I remember most. I mean, everyone was so sweet to me. And I hung out with Moose Man, of course. And yes. I wasn't a big drug person either, but Moose had some marijuana, and I thought, well, I'll smoke a little. And so I just smoked a teeny bit, got super, super high, and then 3 minutes later, I got the call. ICE wants to do the interview now. I'm like, I'm too high. And so I had to go to the back of the tour bus. ICE was in the lounge, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so high. Will he know?
That's so funny.
So yeah, that was it. And I think I remember we were in a hotel one night, and I think it might have been D-Rock knocked on my door. He's like, everything okay? I'm like, yep, everything's okay. Shut the door again.
Paranoid.
Yep, just making sure.
I just remember you were the first girl on the bus. Everybody walked by me going, blinking like, there
was nothing untoward happened. Yeah, nothing bad happened except I smoked pot with Moose and rest in peace.
But you know what? We were on tour with Moose. Moose had 2 white boys with him, wherever city he went to, because they would always bring the weed for him. And they used to have the strongest, some strong weed.
Yeah, I thought, well, I want to be accepted by the band. I'll just have a hit,
He was the only person that did it.
Oh, my God.
Him and Vic smoked weed. Everybody else was like, keep away from that stuff.
Well, I learned too late.
And you also you were telling me, I didn't know, Katherine, that they had an Axl IceT story.
Oh yeah, I was just I was reading something about I guess some of the shows, the tour that you did with Guns, and that there was a story where you and Duff were standing up eating. And there was only one table, and it was Axl and Ice sitting at the table. And he wanted to know, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think they were? Did they get along? Did they hang out much, Axl and Ice?
They got along. But we were wondering what they were talking about, but nobody would sit at that table. It was like a school bench, and people were just standing up because nobody wanted to go sit at that table. I'm standing up, me and Duff stand up eating. Because we didn't want to go sit at the table.
Man. Because you didn't want to disturb them, or you were too afraid?
We just didn't want to get into the mix. Nobody, that's his singer, that's my singer, but they got along. They got along.
Did you ever know, or did you toured with them after Izzy had left the band, right?
After Izzy.
Yeah.
I didn't know Izzy, I toured with Use Your Illusion.
Right. Was that Gilby?
Gilby.
That was Gilby.
Who's another super nice guy, right?
Yeah, Gilby's super nice. Gilby's super nice.
Any fun memories from that? Because obviously, I mean, we talked about the maybe not so fond memories of that tour, but anything specific, positive from that tour?
Everything. The thing about young people have to understand about touring with Guns N' Roses, when you're a band, we were a new band, you really can't tour like that and expect to make money. People are like, oh, you made so much money. No, because, they might play on Friday, Saturday, and maybe a Monday. And then those other 4 days during the week, you got to float your band. So we're paying everybody we're only working 3 days a week, and we're paying everybody, for all that extra time. So it was a good experience, to do that, but it's not a money-making proposition.
You got to get on that in this lifetime. You got to get on that tour since that's a money-making machine.
Yeah, for them.
suppose.
The opening band still has to float. If they're doing 3 shows a week or 4 shows a week, you still have to float your band for the other 2 or 3 days. You still have to pay your techs, pay for hotels, pay for buses, pay all these per diems. You might have to pay a day off. You might have to pay $20,000 to be off. You might have to pay $60,000 a week just to be off.
I'm curious, when you were back on that Guns tour in '92, did you ever jam with them, or did Ice and Axl ever sing together, even in sound check?
Nope, because no one did sound check. Everybody was too drunk and high to make sound check.
Oh my God!
I mean, because Axl was such a big NWA fan too, but you never know if there might have been like a talk of collaboration. Maybe that was the secret meeting him and Ice were having.
If you look on Guns N' Roses video, "Estranged,"
sure,
and you look on what's another one? The one that they're all in the camera, they're zooming in and out.
Oh, Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden.
Yeah, he has body count hats on in those videos.
Oh, that's right. That is absolutely right. Yeah.
He has body count hats on in those. No, we never did do that because it's just, it was just too complicated,
Could you imagine, Katherine, you were going to ask something?
No, I was just going to ask, I know since you and Duff have been such long friends, have you guys ever done anything together? I thought that you had.
We did some for ESPN, some kind of thing for one of their things a long time ago, and it's like sometimes we tried. We were going to start a record company before. We met with Peter Paterno back in the day, and we were going to do that. But we've just been friends. We just never got into the business part of it. I was going to get him to play on this last record. I'll probably get him to play on this next record, just so I'll have it, have him on the record, Right.
I mean, I loved the body count version of Institutionalized. What Guns N' Roses song would you cover in body count, if you could?
I don't. We wanted to do "Welcome to the Jungle" years ago, and Axl was going to sing the hook. I don't know what happened. Sometimes things, I don't know what happened. We were going to do that, and he was going to sing the hook. I really don't know what happened. I don't know. What I would like to do, during that time when we were going to Cop Killer and all that kind of stuff, we were on the road with them, as a matter of fact, when a lot of stuff was going down. Axl started playing "They're Out to Get Me" for body count. He would tell Slash, "Go get your guitar, let's play this for body count." And he always played "They're Out to Get Me." So I'd cover that song.
Yeah, I can totally see after IceT singing that and you rocking it. Oh, that would be sick. Body count covering "Out to Get Me." That would be absolutely sick.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to call Ice and tell him that.
Yes, you heard it here first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll text him and tell him that later. I got to talk to him today anyway. I'll talk to him. Yeah.
Could you imagine? I mean, flash forwarding to today that you and touring with Duff and you were involved in his prior wedding. That you would be on the same festival in 2018, like the fact that maybe that you both are alive could be a surprise, let alone still touring and playing.
We just did it one day at a time. I even more so, that's even greater. His daughter is opening up for them.
Yeah, the Pink Slips.
Yeah, they opened up, and I went to see her. I saw her band. 2 years ago, we played a festival, and they were there. That's one of those pictures I sent to you. We were all at that festival, and it was muddy and this and that, and I said, and Duff said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm gonna go watch your daughter." We had so much fun. It was so much fun hanging out with, just watching his kid play. She was so punk rock.
That's so cool. So yeah, on that Grass Pop Metal Meeting tour happening in June, Guns is doing the Thursday date, the 21st, and that's when the Pink Slips are playing. But you guys are doing that Sunday, and that's the same day. What a lineup! A Perfect Circle and Judas Priest, Bullet for My Valentine. I mean, that's just going to be you got to bring this to America. We don't have any good festivals.
Oh, I haven't seen Maynard. We played with Maynard back in '93, back in Australia at a thing called what is it called?
Big Day Out.
Okay.
Yeah, Big Day Out.
Thanks.
We played with Maynard back there, and I haven't seen him in a long while.
I guess he's out. Yeah, now with Perfect Circle and now Tool. I mean, I think he's going to be doing double duty. I think even on some festivals. But
it's good to see, people still around, after 20, 25 years, bands are still popular, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially you guys. I mean, your last record, I mean, it's such great reviews. I mean, now you're opening the shows with covering Slayer, right? Which you do on your record.
Yeah. So, the band, our band, the last two records have been, got good reviews, so we're happy about that. We're taking more time to. Will Putney does a great job. The kid that produces the record, he does a great job in producing the records. And I just need to sit back and play. That's all I do is just sit back and play now.
Oh, it's awesome. And then the Bloodlust, the European tour, kicks off in June, and we have a lot of listeners in all these countries: the Netherlands, Croatia. I interviewed a fan one of these episodes from Croatia who would listen to Appetite. While he would go in the Yugoslavian war, having grenades thrown at him, but he would listen to Appetite in his cassette player to try to forget about that he may die any second. So we
played there during that war. This border war they had with Slovenia, whatever some kind of border war they had.
Yeah,
we played there. Yeah, we played there.
Jeez,
back in the 90s.
Yeah, Poland, France. I mean, that's very cool. When are you coming back around to the U.S.?
I don't know. We'll do it sooner or later.
But this is
soon.
But that means. Okay, I'm sorry.
We were going to play some shows in New York for the end of the Warped Tour. The final go round. I don't know if we're going to do New York or we're going to do the one in Palm Beach. That'll be the last one. But we're going to be in New York. We're going to play New York because Ice is in New York, so it makes it easy. Sure,
and I guess the point is that body count is going to continue because I know Ice with being Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Actor, Law and Order. Right. I mean, it's hard to balance that, but body count is going to continue and make it, which is that's just so cool. You guys,
we're going to start on a new record in September or something like that.
Awesome.
I mean, this record sold records. I mean, it's something hard to do now. This record actually sold records. So we're going to do another record.
Good. I can't wait. And
cool.
Yeah, if and when you do come to New York, I would love to have you in studio. We're here in Tribeca, same building as Q104 here in iHeartRadio. So I would love to meet you, Ernie Cunningham.
I saw Ernie. I saw Ernie last time he was here.
Cunningham, right? Cunningham. I said it right. Yeah. See,
there was. Weren't you guys here for the listening party at the Sonos store? Is that when you guys were last here?
Yeah, the Sonos.
Sonos.
That's a cool Sonos.
That was good. I remember it was so good to see you. And someday I'm going to get my body count jacket too.
Yeah, someday soon.
So I can be that bitch in the pit. Song reference, of course.
For sure. No, it's so cool. I mean, again, Ernie, I know we kept you a little bit longer, so I appreciate you. You
all that's going on out here is earthquake, so
you just have things crumbling around you. Hopefully, it's unbelievable. No, it's so you're so relatable, and the fact that I just hit you up on Facebook and you responded and stayed in contact. It's so very cool how personable you are, how relatable you are. To follow you is Ernie BC on Twitter, Body Count Band on Twitter as well, and that's just probably the best way to keep up with you and the tour, right?
Or Body Count 4321 on Instagram, I believe.
Yes. I just saw you posted today as we're recording this an old picture of you and Slash, and you both look not sober.
Oh no! Every picture we have from the '90s, we're not sober. His hair tries to eat me on that picture.
You both got the crazy hair, but not in that picture. Yeah, he outfroze you.
Yeah, we always have a good time hanging with him. He always makes me laugh,
And I appreciate you sending me pictures of your lovely daughter with Duff, and like how they met when they were 8, and now because she's my age, and Duff with the body count sticker on his bass. So it's just really cool that it's just become, you guys have stayed friends, and so it's such a community, this metal rock community, that it's just all these years later that you guys are still kicking ass and doing.
When you have good people around, you stay friends, right? Like Katherine right there. I've been friends with her for 20 plus years. When you have good people and you enjoy seeing their face, it makes you feel good. I
agree totally. In fact, I met Duff probably a few years before you did, and we're still friendly. You and Duff are like a couple of the good ones, the real ones who are genuine. Just genuine, down to earth people. That's about it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So, Ernie, again, thank you so much. And if you ever want, and I told, because I've interviewed Katherine before, and I said now she's come back as a co-host. If you ever, want to come back as a co-host, and if you want to interview somebody with me, whether it be IceT or someone else from the band, or Duff, if you want to interview Duff with me, whatever, my platform is yours. Not like you need it. You're pretty successful on your own. But you can sound like you're somebody who would, with your sense of humor, now knowing that you have some, maybe not directly, some Jew in you, I'd like you even more.
I'll bring the matzah.
Yes.
I always say I've got to be Jewish. I've been in the music business for 30 years. Come on.
Oy vey. That's my contribution.
I love it. Well, l'chaim, Ernie. L'chaim. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And mazel tov on all your success.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I hope you had a good time, Ernie.
And we'll see you in New York.
I do. I'll see you. You take care, girlie.
All right, thanks, Ernie.
Be safe. Be safe.
See ya.
Bye.
So that does it for episode 56 of Appetite for Distortion. Thank you again, of course, to Ernie C. Thank you, Katherine, for coming on again. A lot of great guests coming up. Chips Enough is going to be the next episode. Also on the way, we have Jack Liu, GNR's first photographer. Also, reconfirmed Eric Valentine. I mentioned him a while ago, but he had a newborn baby, so we had to put that off. Priorities, of course. If you don't know Eric, he produced Slash's first solo record, so that's going to be a great conversation. And just more on the way. Also excited about this, Appetite for Destruction. Not the GNR, their debut record, but the band. The tribute band. I've seen them. I saw them way back when, and they're still touring, still doing things, and they're going to be doing some shows up by me. I should say, I don't know, up, down, whatever. Doesn't we're heard everywhere, so it doesn't matter. On Long Island, and they offered to come on the show. They've been waving that GNR flag high, even when we heard nothing about Guns N' Roses. They were still doing their thing, but they're going to be in studio performing some songs for us. So that's going to be pretty cool experience, I think, for all of us. So a lot of things to look forward to in upcoming episodes, and that is all thanks to you. I couldn't do this show. I wouldn't do this show if I wasn't getting these emails and messages over 56 episodes. So thank you. Spread the word. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/The AFD Show. On Twitter, @The AFD Show. Also, of course, subscribe, follow on iTunes, on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and of course, we are also featured on AlternativeNation.net. So, until next time, well, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, when will you see it? Well, I don't know if as soon as the word, but you'll see it.
Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.